To be able to level up your home cooking, you need to have a good variety of different stocks in your freezer at hand, and even though there are some good options that you can buy in the store, they're often overly salted and it's a little bit difficult to use when you, for example, is reducing a sauce to its right consistency. So therefore today I'm gonna give you my favorite recipe for a white chicken stock that is very useful in a lot of different dishes. So with that said, let's jump into the recipe. So the first ingredients that we're gonna use in this stock is chicken feet, and the reason for that is that it's absolutely packed with collagen that will later turn into gelatin when you cook it for some time, and we want that because that gives a nice depth to the sauce and it will also improve the texture in its reduced format later. Then we're gonna add chicken wings, and they're also very high in collagen, but they also have a lot of meat surrounding the bones there that will release a lot of good flavor into the stock. And finally we're gonna use minced chicken meat, and that is absolutely gonna pack this stock with more juicy flavors from the actual meat, and it's also gonna help to clarify the stock in the end here so it's not too muddy in its visual aspect. Besides the proteins, we're gonna use yellow onion in this recipe, and that is actually the only vegetable that we're gonna put in this stock. And the reason for that is that yellow onion has a very mild flavor profile that is not gonna take over anything from the chicken itself, but it's gonna support that and give a nice depth to the flavor of this stock. And if you, for instance, is putting in, I don't know, carrots and bay leaves and herbs and black pepper and all that, that could all be good, right? But if you want to have a basic chicken stock that you can use in a lot of different recipes, you can always add those flavors later, and they will also be coming out in a more clear way than if you put them in right now from the beginning. We're also not gonna have the peel here in this white chicken stock, and the reason for that is that the onion peel will release a lot of color into the stock and it will be more yellow rather than white. So from this point everything is very straightforward. We just simply add all the ingredients to a big pot, and the biggest one I have in our household is for 10 liters, which this recipe works perfectly fine for. So just add everything including the onion. After that we just add cold water all the way up to more or less the top of the pot, and then we put that on the stove to give a gentle boil up. Once on the heat, really try to break up that minced chicken meat so it's not in a big lump when it starts to boil, because then it will also set in that way and won't release as much flavor as we want to. Now there's a lot of different schools here when it comes to stock and when they are starting to boil up, and if you should take away the impurities and the fat that is coming up, and I'm of that opinion that just make it as easy as possible for yourself at this stage. Don't take away anything from the stock, don't take away anything of that white foam, just simply leave it be. We are not gonna rapidly boil this stock, so we have no fear of that the fat will be emulsified into the actual liquid. It's gonna be a gentle cooking overnight, and it's much easier actually to take away all the impurities and the fat the day after when the stock has cooled down. So after that gentle boil up, we are gonna cook this in the oven overnight, and I'm setting the temperature here at 100 degrees, so that's just below boiling point, to have a really gentle cook for at least 10 hours. Alright, it's early morning now and the stock has been in the oven the whole night for a minimum of 10 hours, and the aromas that are filling up the kitchen is just unbelievable. It is chicken aromas everywhere here, and look at the stock now, how clear it is, and that's the reason why we have cooked it so gently overnight, not cooking it to a boiling point but just keeping it below that, and that has really kept the liquid inside in a clear way, but also letting all the bones and the chicken feet and the minced chicken meats do its job and release all the flavors out into that liquid. What we need to do now is to have a little bit of more patience, because we need to strain this stock through a very fine sieve, and while doing that I'm actually picking out the wing bones with the meat on it, because we're gonna use that in another recipe in another video, and I'll show you something awesome that you can make with the scraps here that is gonna taste absolutely delicious. So after straining the stock, we're gonna put that in the cooler and let it be there until it's really cold, and let the fat come up to the top, and then we're gonna remove that. So now the chicken stock has cooled down thoroughly, and we are gonna remove the fat, and it's really easy to do here. It's a little bit different with the chicken fat here, because it won't solidify as for instance beef fat will do. So we can see just that there is the more shiny parts that is laying on top of the liquid, and we're gonna use a spoon here to remove that. And with that step finalized, we are done with our chicken stock, and I'm really happy with the end result here. It's really clear, the flavor profile is really a chicken pure nectar, which I want. You don't have any other flavor profiles going in here. And note also that we are not adding any salt in this stock, and we're also not reducing it, because that we can always do in whatever recipe that we are gonna have this stock for. So just put this now in whatever containers that you have at home and place that in the freezer, and that will be ready when you are ready. I really hope that you found this recipe for a white chicken stock useful. It's really easy to make, and as you see, I mean, it's just cooking overnight, so you don't even have to keep an eye off it during the day. Really try to apply this into your home kitchen. It will level up your quality of cooking, and I'm sure that your guests will be very happy when they see that you are using this. So thank you very much for this time, and I'll see you in a future episode where we will use this chicken stock in other recipes.